So Usyk just destroyed Daniel Dubois. This performance exceeded most people's expectations. Both fighters threw punches with bad intentions, but Usyk's amazing boxing IQ, I believe, was the significant factor. So let's explore this further.
So Usyk was sensational. Now let's talk about the fight. So when I watched the fight, I actually took some notes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through the notes that I have, and then we'll just kind of discuss it. So the first thing I noticed in the fight when they did their walk-in, when they did the introductions, is before a fighter's fight, obviously they have the referee to give the final instructions, and the intensity of that stare down was immense, and it almost felt like it was personal, and I'm not even sure if they touched gloves. So the intensity of the encounter was, it was high. And in reflection, I think that some of the things that were said by the Daniel Dubois camp clearly, or maybe, made this a bit personal. So anyway, there was this intense stare down. And then, so in round one, I wrote that Daniel Dubois had a great jab, and he does have a great jab. It's strong, it's powerful, it can control distance, and he was using that jab, and it was powerful. And he tried he did land a good 1-2, and he tried a 1-1-2, which I think missed. But he looked formidable. He took the center of the ring. He looked menacing in his black trunks. He was coming to fight clearly, and the funny thing about Dubois is that when he feints, he was doing a little bit of this, like, trying to, I guess, deflect Usyk's right hand, lead hand. But mainly he was feinting with bending his knees. I'm not sure if that was a tactic or if that's a tick, but he was bending his knees. When I say tick, just like a reaction. So he was bending his knees a lot, which is like a feint. And remember, there's different ways to feint. You can feint doing that, you can kind of feint with your shoulder, you can feint with your foot, but he was feinting by bending his knees. Now Usyk was feinting, he's a southpaw, so he's feinting here. He was using a lot of movement, which obviously makes it harder for Daniel Dubois to get power into his punches. And he was making Daniel Dubois miss, and this was significant. He caught Daniel Dubois with a left-hand counter, and that left-hand counter became a significant part of the fight. This was something that Daniel Dubois struggled with. He was unable to avoid that left-hand counter. So anyway, in round two, I wrote that Daniel Dubois, now he's trying to jab. I say trying because he's not able to get his jab off like he did in round two. And he missed with the right hand, so Usyk is making him miss. So basically Usyk is nullifying his jab. He's doing that, which obviously obstructs your vision, and he's feinting, and again he's getting off that great counter left hand. Now in round three, I think there was a significant difference here. And remember, I've spoken before, there's punching at the target and there's punching through the target. When you punch through the target, you increase the opportunity to get a knockout, but you also increase the opportunity to get countered. And punching through the target, some would call overreaching. And this is where Daniel Dubois in round three, I believe, started to overreach. He started to try to punch through the target, and he was using what I call like the tap jab, just to kind of find the range to try and throw the right hand. And also what he was trying to do, and this was good boxing intelligence, he was trying to counter the counter. And that was good. Usyk, obviously he's feinting, he's using the lateral movement, so his lateral movement, he's still got that lateral movement in round three, and of course this is making it difficult. This is a difficult puzzle for Daniel Dubois to solve, and it looks like he's setting up the trap, and that trap was that counter left hand, and he's nullifying Daniel's aggression. Now in round four, Daniel's trying to counter, and in previous videos I talked about the punch creativity, and this is where he used some punch creativity. He threw what you call a reverse 2-1, which is a 2 and 1, straight right, and you could call it a straight left or a left jab. And he was trying to actually shorten his punches, and he actually landed a good counter right uppercut to the body. Where was that all night? But it was a very good shot. Now Usyk, now he's starting to use his right hook, and he's feinting, and now he's starting, I noticed, to dip to his right. And now in round 5, the round in which it ended, I wrote, so Daniel starts off, he has a nice lead right hand, and then they have an exchange. They kind of, it feels like Usyk kind of sets his feet, and they get into, I wouldn't say close range, but mid-range, and they start exchanging. And then basically what you've got here is that Usyk is countering with combinations, and again he finds that left hand counter, and it puts Daniel Dubois on the floor. Now Daniel Dubois, to his credit, he seems fairly composed. He gets up and he looks for that right hand. He's looking for that counter, the same counter that knocked out Anthony Joshua. But because Usyk has high boxing IQ, high boxing intelligence, he throws the lead. But even though he throws the lead, he sees the counter, and then he counters Dubois' counter, which it looks like Dubois didn't see. And then ultimately this leads to the knockout. So what's my thoughts on this? To me it was like, I guess, I think the significant element of this fight was Daniel Dubois. When he started to punch through the target, he started to get hit with the counter shots. And when I talk about boxing intelligence, I talk about adaptation. And what Daniel Dubois needed to do, he needed to adapt. He needed to be able to do what Usyk did to him, which is to lead, catch the counter, and then throw a counter off the counter. He was unable to do that. So even though he did try and shorten his punches in round 4, and even though he did make some adaptations on the fly, and he showed he could do that in his last 3 fights, it was like his boxing intelligence was here, but Usyk's was up here. I really feel that, I don't know why he didn't throw the right hand to the body more. And particularly, I don't know why he didn't do the left hook and then the right uppercut to the body. I think he should have used that. And also, when Usyk was dipping to his right or stepping to his right, I feel that either the short left hook off the back foot or the left hook feint could have been really effective. And of course, this is all hindsight bias, but this is all about adapting. And I feel that Daniel Dubois, he failed to adapt. So what could he have done differently? I think in hindsight, had he thrown punches at the target, that probably would have been better for him. I think the double jab, straight right hand, left hook would have worked. I think that could have been an effective combination for him. I'm also thinking if he should have feinted more to get Usyk to the ropes. Feint, punch at the target, catch, counter, punch at the target. It just needed to be a bit more of an intelligent approach from Daniel Dubois. This is not to say that he didn't have an intelligent approach, but his approach didn't adapt. Once Usyk solved the puzzle, Daniel Dubois was unable to adapt effectively. He did adapt, but he didn't adapt effectively. I think the straight right left hook would have been a good combination, particularly when they got in mid-range in round 5. I mean, theoretically, that should have been an opportunity for Daniel Dubois to really put in some punishment. But Usyk was incredible, and this is something that was a variable in this fight. I spoke predominantly about Usyk's boxing intelligence, and he did use that. He adapted. But another thing that was shocking was his power. He was very powerful in this fight, and he was heavy in this fight, but that did not affect his lateral movement, and he was punching with bad intentions, and he looked absolutely phenomenal. I feel that where Daniel Dubois went wrong, I feel like he didn't have, his boxing intelligence didn't match Usyk. That was a problem. I also feel, before I spoke about the punch creativity, and the punch creativity just wasn't there. You know, right uppercut to the head, left hook to the body, left hook to the head, right hook to the body. You know, the double jab, straight right, left hook, double left hook. You know, there needed to be punch creativity. You know, giving Usyk different looks. You know, different type of feints. You know, to get him to the ropes, feint, and then let it go, and then get back for the counter. Yeah, there was a lot. Daniel Dubois needed so much more to be successful in this fight. But you can't take away from what Usyk brought to the table. That was emphatic. I did not see that. I did not see that type of emphatic performance. I thought it would be a hard fight, and Usyk just took it to another level, completely to another level. Remember, Daniel Dubois had defeated an undefeated Joe Miller. He defeated an undefeated Filip Hrgovic, two very confident fighters, and then respectfully he destroyed Anthony Joshua at Wembley. So he was a formidable opponent, a formidable champion, and Usyk absolutely destroyed him, respectively. And give Daniel Dubois credit, he was fighting hard, he was trying his best, he never gave up, and he was brave. He was very brave. But Usyk was on another level. I guess the question now is, well, there's a few questions to ask. Does Usyk retire? And if not, who should Usyk fight next? People are saying, I hope I pronounced the name right, Caballal. That would be a formidable opponent. Caballal is looking really good right now. Joseph Parker, Lennox Lewis in the commentary said Joseph Parker, he definitely deserves a shot. And that would be an interesting fight. And then there's the question of how good is Usyk? Because we've been calling him great. Some are calling him a legend. And now it looks like he's entering the quote-unquote GOAT talks, greatest of all time. And it's immensely impressive, his resume. I mean, look at who he's beaten. He's beaten Tyson Fury twice. Great champion, Tyson Fury. He's beaten Daniel Dubois twice, who again was on a fantastic run. He beat Anthony Joshua twice, 2 times world champion. I mean, his resume is absolutely incredible. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next. But in conclusion, this, it was a great performance by Usyk. And give Daniel Dubois credit, he showed great character, and he showed, he didn't give up. He tried his best. But you have to take your hat off to Usyk. That was a tremendous performance.